I'm going to begin by squaring up with you. It was always clear that the first week of June was going to be a very busy one for me. Having spent my entire half-term so-called break writing and recording, I had decided to dig my heels in and not prepare a podcast for Trinity because it was obvious I would be too busy. Then on the morning of Pentecost Sunday, I heard Cardinal Vincent Nichols talking about his hopes that churches might reopen for individual prayer and his disappointment that this seemed to have a low priority against the reopening of shops deemed non-essential. It made me question my priorities. It was clear that I'd become so absorbed in myself that I'd stopped prioritising others. I was not just acting in isolation, I was being isolationistic. Interestingly, when moving from writing to recording, it was obvious that what I had written had become out of date. A day is a long time under our current circumstances. For Pentecost, Father Jim had taken a different approach from the Cardinal. He had surprised me in talking about the danger of religious fundamentalism. How prophetic! For a musician, there is no more inappropriate day to avoid reflecting on God than Trinity Sunday, as the mystery of the Trinity is key to just about everything we have in the language of our music. I began by stating that I was going to square up. Shape is one of the most important parameters of music, as without it, the sound we hear is merely random noise. The anonymous genius composers of the Middle Ages understood this very well. Their starting point was that God is perfect. That word literally means complete. God is complete in the Trinity through manifestation as the otherworldly in the Father, the worldly as the Son, and the transient space in between as the Spirit. This cycle is infinite. It is complete. It is perfect. Mathematically, they would have expressed this perfection of the infinite Trinity as a circle, because a circle has no beginning and no end. A circle is perfect. A broken circle is incomplete. It is imperfect. For those of us learning our basic music theory, we see this at the beginning of the music stave in our time signature. In modern music notation, the most frequent time signature we see is 4/4, or the letter C. Often called common time, that letter C is often misquoted by music teachers as representing the word common. This is fake news. That time signature predates the English language. The letter C is not a letter at all. It is a broken circle. It denotes imperfect time or incomplete time. Go back to this numerical equivalent of 4/4, and we find it is actually a square. Although rarely used in modern musical notation, there is a sign representing perfect time. It is a circle. If it were given a numerical value, it would be 3/1, 3 shorts to a bar. A little bit of theory here. In modern notation, the longest commonly used note is a semibreve. By definition, that is half of a breve. A breve is a short. There is also a long, which is twice as long as a breve. Sorry about that. The point is that 3 really is the magic number. The medieval monks associated triple time with perfection because of its association with the Trinity. The invention of rhythmic notation, with its breves and longs, designed to demonstrate the perfection of the Trinity, was one of the most important turning points in the history of music. The earlier forms of stave notation that we recognise through Gregorian plain chant had no adequate way to dictate how long a note should last. That relied on the rhythm of the words. Having a notation system independent of this gave composers a way to align texture vertically. Its result was polyphony, which in turn gave rise to harmony and counterpoint. Can you imagine a world without a chord? Later generations would mark the importance of the Trinity in different ways. Probably the best known was Johann Sebastian Bach. For him it was a matter of key. 3 is the magic number. He therefore associated the key of E flat major with the Trinity, as it has 3 flats. A good example of this is his St Anne Prelude and Fugue for the organ. In Britain, one of our main music examination boards is the Trinity College of Music. Ask a chorister for the global standard by which male voice choirs are compared, and many, if not most, will respond, Trinity College, Cambridge. A final thought. The concept of the Trinity was not mentioned in the Bible by name, but implied. It was later theologians such as Augustine who championed this concept. It was controversial. As we continue to be surrounded by controversy and uncertainty for more immediate reasons, let us remind ourselves that this need not be a bad thing. We cannot prove that Augustine is correct because we are unable to actually see the 3 manifestations of God at the same time. We have to use our wisdom and rely on trust. How relevant. Augustine said that he who sings prays twice. Had he witnessed the changes his Trinitarian theology made to music a millennium later, would he now say, they who sing pray thrice?